The presentation is made by Olivia Jiang, Kathleen Chen, and Qiyang Xie. The report will focus on the studies of how the movement of urbanization in China and population migration influence Chinese society and the consequent problems that caused during the rapid development in China. We also selected Shenzhen, a modern metropolis that is located in southeastern China, to increase the understanding of urban transformation and population migration in a particular area. The problems and opportunities will be addressed in this report as well, such as housing selection, education, environmental pollution, economic effect, and so on. The results are important because we demonstrate the problems and opportunities that China encounters, and they increase our understanding of what we should do to create sustainable cities in China. To address the basic 5 W's, what, why, where, when, who. What is the topic we're doing is the urbanization and urban migration. The purpose is to stimulate the purpose of urbanization and urban migration is to stimulate the development of China. It's happening in Shenzhen and other cities in China. It's from the mid-1980s to present. It's for all the Chinese citizens and the policymakers. They introduced the Hugo System, Hugo household registration system was first introduced in 1958. This was an attempt by Chinese government to separate and distinguish which Chinese citizens would be classified as of urban or rural status. We also observed the urban population has been increasing each year. The reform and open up policy is really beneficial for Chinese citizens because it creates a greater earning opportunities for people. We will also introduce the development in Shenzhen, how it's from a small fish village to a modern metropolis.
The data we collected about urbanization in China involves the rapid rate of development, problems and benefits of urbanization, the Hugo system. In Shenzhen, we learn about small coastal town that has turned into a modern metropolis, along with the help of the municipality and self-financing. However, there is contaminated water and high energy consumption. While Shenzhen tries to be the new Silicon Valley, there is a need for more non-domestic water supply, and there is an increasing problem in the way the fossil fuels are being consumed. By collecting this data, we can apply it to the real world. People will now understand why more studies should be conducted on sanitation and waste management. Water issues should be prioritized and advertised to engage with all citizens. A reward system should be developed to make sure everyone is contributing to the cleaning of the environment. Urban planners and policymakers should regulate the amount of new buildings being constructed. We should also look into fines or taxes that should be given to ensure the growth rate is constant, increasing but in a stable manner. Demographic information in the population should be researched to find in depth what needs are more necessary. Transportation should also be looked into how the movement of the cities contribute to pollution. In terms of housing, studies should test different solutions that may help solve overcrowding and the number of low-income or homeless living in cities. The data we collected involving rural-urban migration in China have included regional income disparity has widened. The Hugo system has led to separation of citizens by urban or rural status, employment discrimination, housing affordability inequality, cities' demand of cheap labor, migrants who wish for a convenient lifestyle, negative effects of the psychological development of children in migrant families due to separation, rise in environmental issues including social, spatial, economic, and political, discrimination in employment and education. Data we collected about the rural-urban migration in China for Shenzhen include rapid growth from village to megacity, a sudden change in the economy that enhanced levels of poverty. New industries and companies move in to build the new Silicon Valley. Poor migrants in search of jobs due to rural areas losing value in crops and labor. Increased environmental and mental issues have also been seen. Families' livelihoods are threatened by hukou, especially inequality in healthcare as well as education. Housing employment becomes limited and selective. Sangha legend also refers to the homeless population. By collecting this data, we can apply it to the real world. People will now understand why further studies on mental health besides stress will help the city council decide on ways to create living more relaxing, regardless of income. Research should be done on maintenance of sanitation, whether there is enough budget to clean and dispose waste. Usage of other utilities like electricity and gas will help figure out which areas are urgently needed. To help assess crime rates, further research should be tested about what specific items are stolen and whether the people who commit the felonies are from the rural or urban class. And lastly, to help build a greener environment, testing should be done for buildings to incorporate plants or grassy patches in or around each street.
One of the reasons for China's success was it became so industrialized. Urbanization level increased from 17.92% in 1978 to 58.52% in 2017. The Hugo System was established in 1958 as population registration. Initially, it was created for three reasons: control of the internal migration, preservation of social stability, and management of social protection. So in the early stage of China's development, the government believed if people can just move freely, it will actually decrease the agricultural production. And this is essential. So China have two types of hukou, urban and rural. And due to this, some people eventually will have to fulfill the need of agricultural production. And China kept strict restriction on migration is because they want to prevent slums or poor health condition. One of the biggest problems for China is sustainability. If we take a look at the picture on the right, a news reporter was standing in front of the Tiananmen Square, and it's very foggy. This is due to the industrialization of China, and it's not just happening in Beijing, but it's slowly occurring in other mega cities as well. And the second issue is inequality in China. As you know, China has this Hugo system, and it really differentiates people who have urban and rural hukou. People who are rural migrants to bigger cities often don't enjoy the same benefit that the urban counterpart enjoy. So China is a place that is filled with opportunities. According to the World Bank, China's real GDP in 1991 was only about 0.91 trillion, and in 2015 it reached to 8.91 trillion. This is due to the connectivities as in the mega city regions. If you take a look at the map, it shows the different income level for different type of region. In the early 1980s, Deng Xiaoping promoted this idea of letting some people get rich first. However, this created this concept of regional inequality because some region they had a head start in economic development. And later, in 1984, the Chinese government actually issued another policy of economic reform system that further created unequal distribution of income. So from what we've seen is that eastern parts of China are typically more prosperous than the middle and the west. Shenzhen was China's first special economic zone in 1980s, so it attracted a lot of foreign investment. And due to its location, it's right by Hong Kong, its export grew exponentially in the last 30 years. And this allowed them to grow rapidly from a small fishing town to a mega city like today. With the help of the government on a way out of the economic policies, Shenzhen is able to finance for infrastructure projects that further allowed them to grow. So this is a master plan for Shenzhen in 1996. There was actually 3 urbanization plans. One was in 1986, one in 1996, and one in 2010. And Shenzhen was especially designed for urban development. The city was divided into 2 parts. The first being the Shenzhen Special Economic Zone and the Bao'an County. So Shenzhen is a place where it's built on migration, and the migrant population largely always permanent residents. However, the migrant workers from rural areas doesn't receive the same right because they do not have Shenzhen Hukou. Shenzhen is a global innovation-oriented city, so it's often compared to the Silicon Valley. Because there's so many new advanced technology introduced here, it attracts a lot of the entrepreneurs to come.
For urbanization in Shanghai, we learned that roughly over 30 years, Shanghai's square kilometers of urban area quadrupled to what it is today. Currently, there is over 700 million people. The wetland loss, temperature rising, and pollution have also been the negative effects. Business has been booming, but they must also figure out how to do more with less. In Beijing, availability of freshwater resources is a main concern. 1 out of 3 citizens are migrants. Urbanization in Wuhan, we learned that the economic boom has pushed Wuhan to become the largest city in central China. The metro system has improved. However, there are also water issues and problems leading to flooding. Majority of the population is retired. The rapid urbanization is also linked to air pollution. The rural-urban migration in Shanghai, we learned that the Nanjing government era has led to more than 1 million immigrants and has formed almost 80% of its population. We learned that Beijing is classified as an elite tier city, very attractable to migrants. In conclusion, after studying urbanization and rural-urban migration in China, we now know as economic booms surge in China's cities, there are both benefits and downfalls. Thank you. This concludes our presentation. Are there any questions?